Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
This is the textbook that is given in your syllabus.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Yes, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir, but it is low, like it.
And now is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, now it is.
So I guess all of you can see the first textbook, OpenM and Nawab Signals and System, second edition. Right? You can download the ebook kind of stuff. It will be available. To Google, you can get it. So another good textbook is that BP Lathi Signal System by Oxford University Press, which is given in the reference, as well as the Simon Hackins book uh, of Signals and Systems, which is of Willie student edition. Right? A red color book, you can find the reference second one. So for fundamentals, you just follow class and you can follow your textbook next, right, for problems. So this is your syllabus. I guess all of you have received your syllabus, right? PDF file, or it's not given. All of you have the syllabus?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
So once the Moodle thing is activated, I will upload the same. As of now, you can take a screenshot of unit 1. So we have started with this thing in the last class, continuous time signal and discrete time signals. Then we have transformation of independent variable and exponential and sinusoidal signals, unit impulse, unit step signals, and continuous and discrete time systems, and few properties of signals and systems. And in the second unit, you have linear time invariant system, which we will see in detail, which requires some mathematical thing such as convolution and I mean integrals and other things. Right? So today we will see from the last class what we have studied. Let me go to the slides. So let us recap what we have studied in the last class. So we have seen what do we mean by signals, right? And here I told that it is a function of one or more variable which contains some sort of information. And I told you in the previous class that information happened to be the amount of uncertainty associated with an event. Information happened to be the amount of uncertainty associated with an event. And here we gave an example of a system that we call it as a communication system, which do have three components. One is transmitter and a channel and a receiver. So you can assume the mobile communication scenario. Right? So you can have a mobile phone here, and you can have another mobile phone or landline phone here, and here air and free space is the channel. So together, these three things constitute a system. And what do we mean by signal, and how many dimensions a signal can have, that also we have seen. And I had given an example of a one-dimensional signal uh, where one independent variable and one dependent variable will be there. And in the x-axis, we usually take the independent variable, which is time in the given figure, and in the y-axis, we take the dependent variable, which is depending on the independent variable. Here, I have represented capital A stating its amplitude of something. It may be amplitude or magnitude of some pressure or voltage or current with respect to time I have taken, and I have plotted one random graph, right, which I can claim as a signal. So it may be variation of some dependent parameter with respect to time. Example given was a voice signal or a music signal or some voltage or current signal, etc. Or you can say a temperature signal. There are many examples. And next we have seen two-dimensional signals. So in two-dimensional signals, I have given an example of an image signal where we have many pixels in it, and each pixel do contain, uh, let's consider a black and white image or a grayscale image, which have various versions of black and white combinations. So in the one axis, with respect to that, we do represent the grayscale value of different pixels. So an image signal is an example of two-dimensional signal. And if you take one more dimension, like the grayscale value, x and y component value, with respect to time, right? Many images taken at a given rate with respect to time. That is nothing but your video signal, which happen to be 3D signal. So in this way, we have classified in the signals based on some criteria into two types. What is that criteria? So signals can be classified into two types. Uh, One thing we have written here, continuous time signal, and another thing we have written here, discrete time signal. So this is the way of classification. When x-axis is time, what do we have in x-axis? In x-axis we have independent variable. So when the independent variable is time, one sort of classification is like this. Signals can be classified into two types. The x-axis can be continuous in nature within a given boundary, or x-axis can be discrete in nature. Here x-axis indicate the independent variable time, right? So time can be continuous in nature within a given boundary, or time can be discrete in nature within a given boundary, right? So it can be continuous time signal, it can be discrete time signal, and we have seen both variants of it. And this example we have taken for continuous time signal. You can see how it is represented, some function name, and here the parameter. Which parameter? Which is the independent variable that we are interested in? Is it time or frequency or something else, right? So as of now, throughout this course, we will take time, sometime inverse of time, that is called as frequency, or sometimes scaled version of frequency, that is inverse of time. 1 by t is f, right? Frequency in hertz. Sometimes scaled version of frequency, if I multiply an angle factor to the frequency 2 pi f, So I get angular frequency. So x-axis can be time, can be frequency, or can be angular frequency. And we have mathematical methods to convert this time to frequency or angular frequency. As of now, you remember, we are discussing continuous time signal where the independent variable is time, and how it is represented. It is represented as x of t, y of t, r of t, or any function of t. Right? So here t happens to be the independent variable, and the first term happens to be the function name. Right? And here I have taken a graph to represent this x of t, where amplitude versus time, and we see that for each value of time there is a y-axis value present. For each value of time there is a y-axis value present. You can see x-axis in between 0 to 5, right? X-axis in between 0 to 5. It can assume any value. It can assume any value. There is uh, the value of t can be anything in between 0 to 5 in this figure. So any value of t within this given boundary is permissible, or we can say in between 0 to 5 infinite possible values t can assume. So we can call such type of signal as continuous time signal. So it is continuous in time. Continuous in time means in between a given bound, it can assume infinite possible values. Now, when this infinite possibility is reduced to finite possibility by some sort of approximation, then we call such type of signal as discrete time signal, right? Or we may have discrete time signal generated by some sort of, you can say, machines, or when we sample some signals like that, right? So here we don't discuss anything about y-axis. We are discussing everything about the x-axis, that is time. Time is the independent variable. If x-axis is capable of holding infinite possible values within a given boundary, we call it as continuous time signal, right? Here x-axis indicate time is the independent variable, right? So it's a continuous time signal. So in between 0 to 5 seconds, for in our example, infinite possible values are there, and for each value of time there may be a y-axis value associated with it, which may be voltage or current or temperature or pressure or any sort of amplitude, right? And we don't speak about continuity of y-axis for this, right? So it's continuous in time, so continuous along x-axis. And the next thing what we had discussed is another example, which is an example of discrete time signal. So for discrete time signal, what it states, x-axis is time, the time is the independent variable, and it is discrete in nature. What do we mean by discrete? In between a given boundary, let's say in between this 0 to 5, right? In between this 0 to 5, we don't have infinite possible values. We have a value at 0.5, 0, we have a value at 0.5, then 1 at 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. See, these intervals are regular intervals in this figure. Sometime it may be uh, irregular intervals also. Discretely, you may have some amplitude value at t is equal to 0, or you may have some amplitude value at t is equal to 2, or then t is equal to 3. It may be random also, right? So that is another sort of classification we will come to, calling that signal to be random signal. So this is a discrete time signal which is having a periodic or a periodicity of 0.5 second, right? Every 0.5 second we have a sample. You can see at 0 we have a sample, at 0.5 we have a sample, at 1 you have a sample, then 1.5 second to 2.5. Similarly, at a regular interval we have some sample values associated. So this type of signal is called as a discrete time signal. Why discrete time? X-axis is time, and x-axis is having only finite set of values, not infinite possible values, which we have seen in the previous figure. So it is having finite set of values. So if there are finite set of values, we call it as discrete time signal. So always remember, in discrete time signal, x-axis is time. So there we will see another type of the signal where we replace this notion of time by some indexing, and we call it as a discrete sequence. Here, then that time we will have x of n here. Okay, so x of t is the continuous time signal what we have seen, and from x of t we get this x of nt, which is plotted here. This is x of nt. X of nt happen to be discrete time signal. So always remember, in discrete time signal, x-axis is time and x-axis is capable of holding finite set of values. X-axis is capable of holding finite set of values, and for those time instances, y-axis can have finite set of values or infinite set of values, right? It can be anything. Like at 0.5 second, what is the amplitude? It can be 1 volt or 2 volt or whatever. Or at 1.5, it can be 0.1 volt or 0.2 volt or 0.3 volt. It can be anything, right? So we are not discussing anything about y-axis here. We are stating about the x-axis and possible values that can be taken along the time axis, right? So if the time axis is allowing only finite set of values within a given interval, it's called as discrete time signal, irrespective of the y-axis, right? Irrespective of y-axis, if the time axis is capable of holding finite set of values, we call it as discrete time. If the time axis is capable of holding infinite set of values within a given bound, let's in between 0 to 5 or 0 to 10 or 0 to capital T, whatever, within a given time, we call it as time. So these were one sort of classifications that we have seen in the previous class. And the next thing what we have seen is another way of classification. Like uh, when we consider the y-axis value or the continuous values along the y-axis, we can classify signals that are of two types, right? Y-axis can be similarly either continuous within a given boundary or discrete within a given boundary. If y-axis is capable of holding infinite possible values within a given bound, which is shown in this figure, you can see in between 0, I mean -5 to 5, in between -5 to 5, how many possible values are there? Infinite possible values are there. I mean, the signal can assume any permitted value within -5 to 5. In this case, we can call this signal as analog signal. In this case, we call this signal as analog signal. So what is the definition of analog signal? If y-axis is continuous, y-axis can be anything, amplitude, voltage, current, y-axis can be anything. So if the y-axis is capable of holding infinite possible values within a given bound, this is the boundary, and in between this interval, any value is permitted. Any value is permitted. Let's say we are recording temperature of this room with a device, right? And you are asked that for certain purpose, you take the reading of temperature of this room or temperature of a furnace, right? For a time of 1 hour, and you are told that every 5 second or 5 minute you measure the temperature and note it, right? So for a span of 60 minutes, if you take the reading at every 5 minutes, you will have some temperature value, right? So that temperature value can be anything within a given bound. Let's say the furnace is heated for a 100 degree centigrade, and it can take heat up to 120 degree centigrade at most. So after 100 degree centigrade, you go on measuring. So in between 100 to 120, which is the maximum value, the furnace temperature can be anything, can be anything. It cannot be always 101 or 102 or 103. It can be 100.2 or 100.234 or 110 point and any random value within this given time. So in this case, we can call the form signal as an analog signal. Why? Y-axis is capable of holding infinite possible values. And if you put a sensor over there and the sensor goes on measuring the temperature of the furnace at a regular or very short span of interval every 1 second or 2 seconds and feed it to a computer system to save it. Right? In that case, you can have such type of continuous uh, value, right? For every time span, we have some y-axis value associated with it. So this is an example of analog signal. Now coming to digital signal. In digital signal, y-axis is capable of holding finite set of values. It can be 2 value, 3 value, 4 value, right? And let me write in general, it can be m value. M array systems, we call it as array signals, right? So here the value of capital M is 2. It is uh, it can be either 0, it can be either 5. So this value is 2. M is 2. It means what? We call it as bi-array, right? If M is 2, let me write here, if M is equal to 2 in a array signal, we call it as bi-array signals. And in short, this is called, called as binary signals. So for all binary signals, you will have either 0 or 1, like high volt or low voltage, right? So y-axis is capable of holding only two set of values, right? M is equal to 2. And in the given figure here, you can see what is the value of M for here. What is the value of M? M can be minus 10, 1, 2, it can be 0, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here M is 5. 5 array signals. 5 values can be assumed in the y-axis. So y-axis within the given bound minus 10 to 10, it can hold finite set of values. That is either minus 10, minus 5, 5 or 10 or 0, right? An example is, let's say we have kept a sensor that is at the entrance of our classroom, and we have a single entrance to the classroom, and uh, the sensor task is to count the number of people that we have, or to count the number of people who used to come within a given time span. Let's say class is at 9 o'clock, and we would like to know in between 9 to 9:30 how many people are entering into the class. So number of people entering into the class, if we take, let me plot such type of signal. So if you have x-axis here, time, so in between 9 to 9:30, okay, 30 minutes, 30 minutes span, or let me start from 0 and think about up to 30 seconds. And every 1 minute, every 1 minute, so this is 30 minutes, not second, 30 minutes. So every 1 minute we will sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on up to 30. And class strength is, let's say, 50. Total 50 people are there. So what can be the y-axis upper bound? Y-axis upper bound can be at most 50, isn't it? Including teacher, there are total 50 uh, people the classroom can accommodate. So at the 0th instant of time, let's say at 9 o'clock, how many people were there? Let's say I'm putting some random figures here. So this is 25, this is let's say it's around 35, it's around 15, this is 10, or this is 5. I've taken a random graph, don't worry. So at 9 o'clock, let's say we had some 10 people available in the classroom. and after 1 minute we had some 11 people. After 2 minutes we have some 13, 14 people. Let me write the value. After 3 minutes we have around 16 people, and after 5 minutes we had around 25 people, and after 6 minutes, let's say, we have around 30 people, and similarly at 30th second almost we have 48 people. Now can someone comment what kind of signal it is out of the classifications that we have studied?
Discrete time signal.
Discrete time.
Yeah, it's discrete time signal. And what else can we write? It's discrete in time because we are taking samples every 1 minute. What about amplitude?
Discrete analog signal.
Yeah, so amplitude is, it can be, how many values are possible in between 0 to 50? In between 0 to
Infinite.
50, not infinite. We have finite possible values. So total number of people can be 0 if no one comes to the classroom, right, through the sensor. Total number of people can be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 50, isn't it? Number of people cannot be 1.2. Can it be 1.2 or can it be 5.6? No, right? It is a round figure. So in between these values 0 to 50, how many values are permitted? Y-axis can assume 50 different values, isn't it? 50 different values. It cannot be infinite values. It cannot be infinite values. So because we are counting number of people entering inside the classroom using a sensor, the sensor, every time one fellow, let's say in any shopping mall, you see the counter, or in the railway station you see a counter placed at the entrance, isn't it? There is a beep when you enter inside, so it is counting number of people entering inside throughout 24 hour or through the peak hour, whatever count we would like to have. So here we would like to have a count that in the initial 30 minutes how many people are entering inside our classroom, including teacher. So including teacher, the total strength could have been 50. So y-axis is capable of holding here finite set of values, finite 50 distinct set of values, isn't it? It can be no one means 0, it can be 1 people, 2 people, 3 people. It cannot be 1.5 people or 15.9 people, isn't it? So it is always rounded. It's a round number. So we can say that y-axis is capable of holding finite set of values. So there is no question that it can be analog signal. Understand? So x-axis is discrete time. It's correct. Y-axis is what? Discrete amplitude. Y-axis is discrete amplitude. So this type of signal we can call it as a digital signal. If y-axis is discrete, we can call it as digital signal, right? Or M array signal. So here what is the value of M in M array signals? M represent the number of possible values, distinct values y-axis can assume. So in this case it is 50. Okay, 50 arrays. Right? So if the y-axis possibility is reduced to only two finite possibilities, either true or false, okay, either high voltage or low voltage, 5 volt or 0 volt, 5 volt or minus 5 volt, we call such type of signal as binary signal, and those are represented as ones and zeros that we study in fundamental of digital electronics, right? Digital logic design, uh, the subject you have, right? So those sort of signals, how those logical things can be handled, we study that. So this is one sort of signal classification that we had studied in the last class. I guess it is clear to all of you. If y-axis is continuous within a given bound, we call it as analog. If y-axis is capable of holding finite set of values within a given bound, finite set of values within a given bound. Example here, if I write these are the signal people entering to a room. Okay, at most strength I have taken 50. So these are plotted here. Like at what instance of time, how many people entered inside the room. This is an example of is a signal. This is an example of a signal which is discrete in both the dimensions. I mean x-axis and y-axis. It is discrete in both the axes. So such type of signal can be called as a digital signal. Right? Digital always means y-axis is finite. Analog always means y-axis is infinite within a given bound. Continuous time always indicate x-axis or the time axis is continuous within a given bound, and discrete time always represent x-axis or time axis is capable of holding finite set of values. Okay, so in general, textbooks do refer or question papers do refer, and they explicitly mention a signal x of t which happen to be continuous time signal or continuous analog signal. Then based on the statement you can assume that it is continuous along x-axis or y-axis or in both the axes. Okay, so when we write continuous analog signal, it is continuous along both the axes. When we write continuous analog, it means x-axis also capable of holding infinite possible values, y-axis also capable of holding infinite possible values. Okay, so this type of signal we will be using most of the time, and its representation is same. Like you can write x of t, y of t, z of t, whatever function of time. Okay, continuous analog signal. Similarly, we have we speak generally discrete time signal. Okay, we speak generally discrete time signal. We don't mention like discrete analog thing. It is just for understanding. Uh, in textbooks you will find discrete time signal, continuous time signal, or continuous analog signal, or digital signal, right? So digital means y-axis is discretized, discrete time means x-axis is discretized, time axis is discretized. So these discriminations you should remember, right? Digital, it speaks about y-axis or amplitude axis, it speaks about x-axis. Okay, it speaks about both the axes. So with these fundamentals, we will proceed to next in the next class. Other sort of classifications, let's say the previous example that we have just discussed, you can see this people entering inside room, and here you can see that every 1 minute we have some signal information every 1 minute, right? So here I didn't plot, here also you have. So every 1 minute we have some value. So it is, we call it as periodic signal. Periodic signal. So every 1 minute mandatorily we will have something, right? Or there may be scenario that at the seventh instance of time, if we are writing, so it's 30 only, no extra people entered. So it's 30 only for 8, 9, 10, like that may happen. Okay. So if every given time instance the signal is capable of holding some y-axis value, right? We call such type of signal as periodic signal. So there may be cases that we don't have the signal values at all or at regular intervals of time. That type of signal we call it as aperiodic signal or non-periodic signal. So those sort of classifications we will see in the next class, like periodic signal, non-periodic signal, even signal, odd signal, energy signal, power signal. Various other classifications are there that we will study. Okay, so we will stop here, and we will meet again in the next class. Meanwhile, I would like to say just download this software and install it in your laptop for every Friday we will be having some sort of a lab session for this course. Whatever I'll teach, I would like to simulate it and show it to you, and you people can also do it. Just install Anaconda. Okay. We will be using Python. I will be using Python. Maybe other classes they may use or may not. So I will be using Python or MATLAB. This is another software. So MATLAB is not free. This is free. Like for Python, I will be using Anaconda, and this one called a Spider. So Python, I guess people are exposed to Python. If not, we will learn. Okay, I will teach you how to do that. It is very helpful for various purpose. Not only this course, many other courses will be. So for this Friday, at least you should have this one installed in your system. Okay, Anaconda. The link I will share to the CR if at all you are getting difficulty to find. In Google, you can get it. Like, you can have Anaconda. This one. Okay, individual edition you have based on your operating system. You download. Okay, for Windows it's around 477 MB. So you can download and install it, and I will help you to learn, and will try to put many signal mathematical expressions in it, and we would like to visualize them. Okay, this link also, let me paste it in the chat box. So both the CRs are there, electrical and EC.
Yes, sir.
Send the attendance absentees, okay, in the given format, like last time how you have.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. We will meet again in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.